Welcome to Pigskins and Pageantry, a podcast dedicated to all things SEC football. My name is Wes, and I'd like to invite you to join me, Jesse, and Matt each week as we discuss last week's games, news from around the league, make predictions for the upcoming games, and much, much more. Well, championship weekend was overall pretty wild. There was some chaos, but just barely not enough to get two SEC teams in the playoffs. So we'll talk about those games, the final CFP rankings, some player decisions, both transfer portal and draft related, Heisman finalists, and briefly list each bowl game that an SEC team will play in. But first, let's welcome the two greatest co-hosts in all the land. First off, Jesse, how are you?
You know, I'm good. It's actually pretty relaxing not to watch your team play in a championship game just because you don't really care. You know, you're just chilling, eating pizza, having a beer. Doesn't matter. Nothing matters. I am slightly upset that my chaos magic did not work quite as well as planned. It gave me just enough hope to crush me.
Matt, wake up. What's going on? What's going on, my friend?
Sorry. As you can tell, I'm already in Miami, soaking up the sun, man. Orange Bowl, baby. Woo!
I was going to say, there's going to be nothing but orange down there.
Yeah, I think there's going to be quite a bit. And as you can guess, it's gonna be a game. It's gonna be interesting.
It's going to be interesting for sure. So, all right. Well, let's talk about the championship weekend.
Always remember, if you ain't first, you're last.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about last week's games. And I'm not really sure why that graphic is there. Anyway, I still have leftover graphics in here. The first game is the Pac-12 championship. That was Utah versus USC. That was Utah winning that one big, 47-21. Jesse gets 2 points because we made them 2 points apiece. She was the only one to pick Utah. I'm not going to have a ton to say about these. They're not SEC. Obviously, they did have impact on SEC teams. But what thoughts did you guys have, if any, on this?
But I tell you, if there was an opportunity to drop the ball, USC found it. They just looked so discombobulated. I'm gonna take this stuff off now. Jokes.
It's like you're at a poker tournament or something.
Yeah. Bill Hellmuth totally just busted out. So listen, like I was anticipating USC to find a way to win this ball game, and they did everything in their power not to. I was disappointed because I was hoping that we would have a nice clean CFP, especially that last week, and we definitely didn't get that because USC couldn't finish the job. They dropped to 11-2. But congrats to Utah. That's a heck of a season from them this season. So they've had a pretty good run.
It's really hard to beat a team twice, and they did it.
It's exactly what I was going to say.
Bama couldn't do it, and it's cool that they were able to do it. And I think it just proved what we've kind of been saying is USC was beatable, and USC should have lost a couple of games this season and barely squeaked it out. And Utah exposed them, and I was happy to see it.
Yeah, I was shocked. They were hanging with them. It was a close game, and then it just like the bottom fell out. It was wild.
A close game till it wasn't.
Yeah. All right. The Dr. Pepper Big 12 championship, Kansas State versus TCU. Kansas State winning this one in overtime, 31-28. Once again, Jesse gets the 2 points. Only one to pick Kansas State, so you're on a roll there.
It ended, but yeah.
What a game. I mean, just back and forth, down to the wire in overtime, all that good stuff. I mean, like you said, not having necessarily a dog in the fight, it was quite a game to watch. What thoughts did you guys have about this one?
It was great. It was a great game. I think I watched probably 3/4 of this one. Had a chance to see Duggan in action. It's the first time I've watched a TCU game since they went into overtime a couple weeks ago against whoever they played.
Baylor, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. It was Baylor. So they came up short, but
right at the end there.
Man, Kansas State just did everything they could to pull that one off.
Their running back was so much fun to watch. He is quite literally my height, which just gives me so much hope as I still have 4 years of eligibility left.
Yes.
That I too can be a Division I running back. There's a chance. I don't want to see that face, Matt. There's a chance. The chance is never zero.
I mean, technically, me and Wes both have 4 years of eligibility as well.
We
but...
can all be
That's
in,
right.
but you guys cannot be 5'6" running backs. We're not that short. It was super fun to watch. Also, the Dr. Pepper like throwing challenge was very fun to watch. Go Lakers.
Yeah, and they tied twice, and so they both
One
got
girl
the scholarship.
won because of the day before tiebreaker, but then they came
Tiebreaker,
back at the end, and Dr. Pepper's like, "JK, we found another $100,000. We'll sponsor your education too."
So how awesome is that? Life-changing for both of them. That's pretty cool. Yeah, and like you're talking about Duggan. I was just like blown away at his effort. You talk about laying it all out on the field. That dude was tore up. He was bleeding. He was just all beat up.
He was unwell. He was
he
quite
put it all out
literally
there.
gray in the face when they started overtime.
Yeah.
Gray.
I was thinking they're hoping that the game ends quickly because I don't know how much he can actually play.
I was concerned for his well-being, legitimately.
Listen, it's real cliche to say that people leave it all on the field, but man, Duggan sure as heck did.
That's the picture of it.
I mean, he needed an oxygen tent, not an oxygen mask. He needed an oxygen tent. He needed every bottle of Gatorade you could find. Excuse me, not Gatorade. We don't know. Powerade. Sorry, I forgot where we were. Like he needed every athletic recovery thing that's on the market. Like homeboy was tired, not tired.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about the Big Ten championship. I know we're skipping around in the day when it happened, but we'll save the SEC for last. Purdue versus Michigan. Michigan won big here, 43-22. Matt gets the 2 points there. I don't know. I guess we were kind of wondering about the spoiler makers if Braum would retain his perfect record against top 3 teams, but that was not to be. What do y'all think about that one?
Purdue, you've let me down multiple times, mostly when it comes to dating. You let me down again.
Hey, listen, Purdue took it on the chin this morning. Did y'all see the news about Braum?
I
Yes.
did.
He's gone. He's going to Louisville.
Yeah. Wasn't that after saying that he was not gone?
No, they asked him in an interview after the game. I think they said he said, "I won't speak on speculation at this point."
Okay.
So, which is usually coach speak for, yeah, I've already packed up the U-Haul.
Right.
Well, Deion Sanders did the same thing. We talk about Colorado. We mean going to the Broncos game. LOL. Then he moves to Colorado, and now his son's going to be the QB. Okay.
Right. I did think that was funny. Show up with your son. By the way, meet your new quarterback. So
yeah, that was a little weird. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Just to annoy him like that, just without putting on any pads or anything.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And then he was real quick. He was like, he's gonna have to earn it though. He's gonna have to earn it. Like, yeah.
Did you hear not to completely shift over to Coach Prime, but did you hear the comment about he's coming and he's bringing his baggage with him and it's Louis?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And he didn't come straight out and say, listen, you may want to think about entering the transfer portal, but you might want to think about entering the transfer portal. But I don't. That was an interesting angle to take with a brand new team. And
it was kind of
nepotism. You.
Well, and it was also kind of I don't know. I still don't know. I mean, since we're full on talking about Deion now, I still don't know how I feel about that. Because on one hand, I get how it's smart. You go ahead and you call your team out. You're there. It's basically calling out the tough ones first, right? It's like you guys are going to step up. The rest of you guys, you can hit the road, right? And then at that point, you have those present who want to be there and who are going to contribute to the team. But at the same time, I don't know, man. That's pretty rough for a team that was not very good anyway. It's kind of like,
well, and the AD even saying when someone asked him like, how are you guys going to pay him? How are you guys going to afford him? And he's like, we'll get the money. Don't worry about it. We'll find a way.
Colorado's got some boosters now. I know. Remember, they've got some people with some pockets.
Still for him to be
I
like,
don't-
we'll get there. We'll find the money. It's
don't
like, bro,
know.
you should have found it.
Have they released that contract information?
It's like 5 or
haven't-
6
yeah.
a year, I think. I mean, by
not
SEC
awful.
standards, it's not crazy, but it's also not small either. All right, let's talk about the Subway ACC Championship. Clemson versus North Carolina. Clemson winning this one big, 39-10. I got the points because I was the only one to pick Clemson.
I'm very disappointed in UNC.
I know.
I thought they might actually have a little bit of fight.
I was really hoping Mac Brown would get them fired up for that game, but they couldn't compete. That Clemson defense shut them down.
No,
which is a right shame. I would have rather played UNC in the Orange Bowl because we played a bowl game against them, and by the we I mean Tennessee. Played a bowl game against them in like 2014. I think they beat us late in the fourth quarter. So
little revenge there. Yeah. They definitely didn't have what it takes to stack up, at least at this point. And that's against a Clemson team that's been kind of iffy. So all right, let's go ahead and get to the SEC championship, LSU versus Georgia. I got the point here. I picked Georgia. Georgia won 50-30. So just in summary, real quick, scoring in this one got started off in a really strange way. Georgia
don't fully understand.
Georgia blocked the field goal attempt by LSU, and the ball bounced to the 4-yard line where it nearly stopped. Now, by rule here, it's like a punt where if it stops rolling, if it stops moving, it's dead at that point, which I didn't know at the time. I'm just watching the game going, what the heck's going on? But apparently that is the rule. And so I think if it had been like another like half a rotation, it would have been dead. Because if you watch the ball, it's about stopped when he picks it up. Not quite, but it's almost there. And so Chris Smith Jr. Picked it up and ran it all the way in for a touchdown as LSU's special teams was walking off the field thinking that it was done. That was 96 yards for the touchdown. Then, not long after that, LSU scored on a big pass play to tie it up 7-7, which was kind of odd. It's like Georgia's defense has been on the field for a long time. They got the special teams play, and then the defense is right back on the field. So I don't know if that played into that or not. But so it was 7-7 in the first, and then Georgia went on a 28-0 run, which included a portion of the game where the Dogs got an interception, which bounced off of an LSU player's helmet. That was pretty bizarre. Jalen Carter also had an impressive sack where he stopped Jaden Daniels, simply picked him up to end the play. I don't think I've ever seen that before. It was kind of like he picked him up, and then, you usually see linemen, tackle him or throw him down at that point, but that would have probably got a penalty. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to hold him here. So
he went like the Notebook on him. He's like, I will just lift you and hold you.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was 35-10 at halftime after Jaden Daniels re-injured his ankle near the end of the second quarter. Garrett Nussmeier took over in the second half and did really well. It wasn't enough though to catch up to the Dogs, who scored 2 more touchdowns in the second half. Georgia had backups in by the time LSU scored their final touchdown, but the defense, the main defense, still gave up 30 points. Georgia rushed for 255 yards while only giving up 47 on the ground to LSU. However, LSU did manage to throw for 502 total yards between the two quarterbacks. So I want to get you guys takeaways from the SEC championship.
I think, and everybody I've talked to thus far agrees, I think it was incredibly irresponsible and neglectful of Coach Kelly to play Jaden Daniels. I do not agree with that choice. You have a player who is a leader on your team who is hurt. And I know you tape up an ankle, but if you got to put a pound of tape on it, you probably shouldn't play. And I know you want to do your best to win a game, but you've got a backup who at one point also started. I think we talk about it all the time. These are kids. And I understand some of these guys are like 22. Hell, Stetson Bennett's 25, but whatever. But at the end of the day, these are people that are under your care. They're looking to you for leadership, and they're looking to you to advocate for them. So to me, I think it's irresponsible on Coach Kelly. It's irresponsible on the medical staff, the training staff. You should have absolutely advocated for this kid, because I've never met a kid in middle school up that when you say, are you hurt or can you still go out there, that's going to say, I'm hurt, I have to sit. No, they're
Right.
always going to say that they can still go out there.
You've obviously never coached middle school football.
I've only used to like my brother and his friends.
Listen, I had a kid, not to throw, shade at a former athlete that played for, a former student that played for us. I had a kid that we were just cycling people through, and I called him over to me and said, "Hey man, have you been in yet?" He's like, "No, coach." I'm like, "You want to get in?" He's like, "I'm good." Okay, but when your mom comes up here to complain I didn't play you, I don't want to hear anything.
He was just there for the Gatorade.
I don't know why he was there, but
His
anyway,
mom or dad made him play.
Probably.
For sure. But a kid that's usually a starter is not going to want to sit out. They're just not. They're going to want to put the team on their back. And I don't know. I thought you're risking getting someone really, really injured, career injury or an injury that takes them into sitting on the bench next season. And I didn't like that. Also, when it comes to Coach Kelly, he doesn't have the best reputation for care.
Yeah.
So not a good look.
Yeah. Yeah, that goes deep.
That goes to death.
Yeah. It does. Any other thoughts?
My other ones are like, UGA made those crazy plays that LSU needed to make. You're an underdog, like a 3-possession underdog. You need every bit of help you can get, and they didn't get it. UGA got it. They got the weird ones. They got like the Auburn level weird ones. And LSU turned it over. They had different issues on their own that they could have helped. And I don't know. I think that was it was rough to see. UGA didn't need that kind of juju, and LSU sure did, and they didn't get it. But at the end of the day, if you're an LSU fan, this is a huge year of progress for your program. So I think you still have to be proud and excited for the future.
For sure. Matt?
Listen, I told y'all this is what was going to happen. I knew this SEC championship was going to be a snoozer. I knew that this was going to probably be a nuke, and I was right, because let's remember, this is an LSU team that, lost 4 games in the season. This is an LSU team that got boat raced by Tennessee at home, and you're gonna sit there and tell me this is going to be a competitive game. No, not going to happen. And the LSU fans can get all ticky like they did a couple weeks ago, but I'm telling you right now, you're not on the level. You're not that guy, pal. To quote the internet. So like I said, UGA's offense is just too effective, and their defense is way too physical. There's no way LSU is going to be able to hang here. Let's also keep in mind that UGA's offensive and defensive lines dominated the line of scrimmage. UGA with 255 yards on the ground. LSU, Wes, if you take into account, if you take out the one long run by Josh Williams, which was of 47 yards, LSU only really rushed for 19. Now, is that because they abandoned the run when they saw they weren't going to be able to run against Georgia's front four? Probably. Did they have some more success in the air? That's probably it. 502 yards in the air is definitely a stat. And you know that CJ Stroud and Marvin Harrison Jr. and everybody else for Ohio State is going to be looking and watching that tape and trying to figure out how to take advantage of those situations. LSU's not known, I don't remember over the course of the season really talking about them lighting it up in the air. I don't remember a game where they were able to pull that off. So it's interesting that this happened in the SEC championship game. I'm not sure what happened there. The other point is that LSU got held 2.4 yards per rush attempt in this game. That is dominance in every way, shape, and form and fashion. UGA in this game, I felt like they showed that they were serious. We had seen earlier in the season, UGA could be up, they could be down. They could play slow. The UGA did not play slow in this game. They came out all guns a-blazing, and they showed that they're going to be dangerous in the playoff. Will they get past OSU? We'll see. But I think it's going to be a situation where if they are clicking on all cylinders, they're going to probably repeat this year, much to my chagrin.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit of a gripe, the 502 yards in the air. And to your point, Matt, you're talking about Ohio State's going to be looking at that. They absolutely will. I don't really understand. It was kind of hard to quantify why that happened. We did blitz some. It feels like we didn't blitz as much as we used to, or as much as we have before, particularly when we went against Hendon Hooker. Obviously, we knew what needed to be done there, because if he was given time, he was going to just pick us apart in much the same way. But he didn't have that time, so I don't really know why they were particularly successful in the air in this one. Other than the secondary has been a point of contention for the Dogs this year, which is again is why pressure is key. So hopefully some lessons learned there. Ultimately thrilled to still win convincingly, even though we had those struggles, and excited to have an opportunity in the playoff. A couple of notes from the game: Lad McConkey aggravated the tendonitis in his knee again, and had to leave the game, but remains to be seen kind of how that'll affect his availability for the playoff game. We'll see how that goes. It's also almost a month away, so hopefully they can get that under control. Also, offensive lineman Warren McClendon has a light MCL sprain, and also, last I checked, unclear how long he'll be out as well. So hopefully nothing too crazy there that'll keep those guys out. So anyway, so yeah, that does it for the SEC championship. As you guys have mentioned, I also too say congrats to LSU for a great ahead of schedule season. As we've talked about on the show before, it is something that they should be pleased about. I would hope so. I mean, these were not expectations entering the season, so kudos to them and Brian Kelly in his first year. Current pick'em standings, I've got 46, Matt has 41, Jesse has 22. So more to follow there, as we've got lots of bowl games coming up.
Wes, you've been in the lead all season, haven't you?
Yes.
I don't know if it's been outright the whole time. Okay,
I'm pretty sure it has been.
gotcha.
Pretty sure it has been.
Yeah,
I
but
broke the 20s though.
did, yeah. And like I said, we got some of these games that are counting towards counting for more coming up, and we'll see what happens there. So
there's no chance. It's okay. At this point, like I said, I'm just going willy-nilly out here.
yeah. Well, I mean, again, by you doing that, who knows?
I know.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the news.
Here's the news.
All right. Well, obviously the main portion of news is the final CFP rankings and
which they got right.
Subsequent aftermath. Yeah. So let's just go through them here. Number 1, Georgia. Number 2, Michigan. Number 3, TCU. Number 4, Ohio State. 5, Bama. 6, Tennessee. 7, Clemson. 8, Utah. 9, Kansas State. 10, USC. And then SEC teams, 17, LSU. 19, South Carolina. And 22, Mississippi State. Matt, you said they got it right. What specifically about this makes you feel good about what they did?
All right, I'm ready for this, because I've been sitting here thinking about how we would discuss this the entire time since they came out.
Okay.
The entire time on Sunday. In the morning, I got up early. I made myself a cup of coffee. I sat down on the couch. I watched NFL pregame stuff for the hour that was on before the CFP, almost like class, before the CFP show. And I said, they're going to find a way to backdoor Bama into this thing. They're going to make it happen. And I'll be damned if they did not do that. They didn't do it. I'm glad they didn't. TCU, although they did lose to Kansas State, needed the chance to prove themselves here. So they left them in the CFP. One loss, I think that's acceptable. Georgia obviously is rolling. Michigan obviously rolled. Ohio State sneaking in at 4 after getting embarrassed at home to the number 1 team is a decision, but I feel like it's at least a decent decision. Even with the 1 loss, it's still to the number 2 team in the nation. I think we can let that slide. Like I said, I feel like they were going to find a way to backdoor Bama into this thing after they've lost 2 really close games to 2 really quality opponents. But again, I think that the lack of a, quote, signature win kind of kept Bama out of this thing. If Bama had found a way to get one of those signature wins this season, they might have gotten in over 2-loss Ohio State team, which, to be frank, didn't really play a whole lot of teams this year. At least not decent teams. They played a lot of crap teams. So there is an argument to be made, but they made the right call, in my opinion.
Jesse, obviously, I know you were hoping for a different result at number 4,
Of
but
course
what do you
I
think?
was. Of course I want number 4 to be Bama. Did I think there was a chance? A little bit. Once USC lost, I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
TCU lost. I was like, oh. But I agree with Matt from the standpoint that, yeah, we didn't get a signature win. And this Bama team is not the Bama team of past years. And I don't know that we would stand up to a Michigan. I don't think we would. I just don't.
I want to point out there that I was listening to a Tennessee podcast, and they were talking about this particular situation. And the concept is that without your quarterback, Bama only wins 8 games this season,
I could
which
see
I
that.
feel,
Absolutely.
which
For
I
sure.
feel is accurate.
Oh, I think that's 1,000% accurate. Bryce Young's shoulder is not just hurt from the Texas game. He's been holding our team on his shoulders.
Yeah.
So no, I absolutely, I think honestly, and I know the win against LSU might have cemented Georgia at number 1. I think I would have had Michigan at number 1.
Yeah, I agree. I think
I really do. I think I would have had Georgia at 2. To me, Michigan has shown that they can play 4 full quarters. Not that Georgia hasn't. They obviously blew it out in a conference championship, but I think they've just started slow for me in a lot of occasions. I would have had Michigan 1, especially because they were putting Ohio State in at 4. And if you blow out number 4, I think you make it to number 1. Whatever.
Jesse's on the nose.
Yeah, I think Michigan is going to tear up. I think those Christian boys need to start praying, because I think Michigan is coming for them.
Yeah, well, I think the committee definitely didn't want to go ahead and have a repeat of Michigan Ohio State. That's what we're looking at.
Let's go ahead and get it out of the way.
I know, but
why not do it?
They did the same thing with Georgia and Bama last year.
Yeah.
They said in the Boo Boo or whatever his name is, the guy that's in charge, said that there was no discussion of talking about an Ohio State Michigan rematch, and everybody's like, okay, bud,
Yeah,
sure
right.
thing, yeah, okay. No, you definitely looked at that and went, no, let's put Ohio State at 4. We don't want to play Michigan again.
Yeah.
So now they get to play Georgia. So enjoy that, Buckeyes.
Yeah. I thought that they might have Ohio State jump TCU with that loss, but again, then you would be looking at a rematch right off the bat, which wouldn't be an issue if they put Michigan at 1. So it's like, I'm sure all those discussions were had. But yeah, I do
think about TCU, and I'm not saying they don't deserve to be in the top 4. That's not what I'm saying. I think the committee did themselves a favor by keeping it to only 1-loss teams, because once you put a 2-loss in there, it's never happened before. It's going to get weird, right?
Yeah.
Even though we're expanding the playoffs. With TCU, they should have lost to Baylor. They lost to Kansas State, and then they should have also lost. Was it Texas? Who else did they play that was super close? That was like
they had several close games this year.
They had several close games. So I really do think Michigan is just gonna whoop them.
The term you're looking for is roll.
It's just it's hard. Yeah, for me, it's hard to evaluate the conferences though together amongst each other. Just given all that they've played, TCU. Yes, they've played a bunch of highly ranked teams, but those have all been Big 12 teams. They all have beat up on each other, and so and not a ton of defense. So I don't know. Michigan has obviously looked good for most of the season, so we'll see. But I am a little bit nervous about Ohio State. I just hope. Obviously, there's plenty of time to prepare, so I'm not worried about that. I don't know though. They are a good team, so we'll see what happens there.
I think if C.J. Stroud walks out of New York without the Heisman, I think which I don't think he'll win the Heisman, just based off of what we saw when he played Michigan. But I think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder, and he's going to be looking to prove himself come that day when they play Georgia. And I'm wondering what that's going to look like. Now, as we know, Ohio State does not usually perform well in bowl games against the SEC. It's a fact. The stats are there. They have not played well against the SEC in a long time. but it could happen.
Yeah.
The chances are
UGA
never
has
zero.
to be careful with a #1 ranking, blowing out someone in a conference championship. Don't get too big for your britches.
Rat poison, right?
Yeah, I
Because they
can't do
went
that.
into the game with Alabama and they were pissed because they lost before. That was great motivation.
Yeah. Yep. Let's talk about a couple other things, and honestly, we could go on for days about transfer portal stuff. But
Oh my God, can we talk about it just a little bit?
We should have a transfer portal
like just a segment
episode, just a whole episode where we talk about the transfer portal.
How many did you say? Literally like over 1,000.
It's like
It's
600 something.
Over 1,000 on day
Is it that high? Oh,
over 1,000 on day 1.
Yeah. Which is not a great stat when you consider the past 2 years, 41% of transfer portal players have found a home. That's not good numbers.
no, it's
so best of luck to those guys. Also, a side note, I saw where JT Daniels is in the transfer portal again. So
for the fourth time? I think it's for the fourth time, right?
Gosh, I've lost count.
No, sir, no. If I am a school,
Hey,
you are not coming here.
Let him and his mustache live.
I don't know what wasn't going particularly well at West Virginia. I mean, I know that they're not great, but I thought he was doing well there. So I don't know.
Nope, I'm over it. I'm over him. Okay, here's my thing about the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Not to derail us, but we're here.
No.
Let's
just bomb out of this segment.
Yeah, who cares? I get it from the perspective of the player, right? Like there's a couple instances in which I think it makes sense, because a lot of me is like, I'm a purist, like stay with your program, don't be selfish. But then there are 3 instances that I understand. And I think if you don't fall within these 3 instances, you're kind of, it's silly. Number 1, the coach that recruited you, that you thought you were playing under, the system in which you thought you were playing under, leaves, fired, whatever. And it doesn't make sense anymore.
Like Caleb Williams last year.
Yeah, I get it. Totally fine. All of the people when Mike Leach came in, I get it, right? Like that's not your coach. That's not your system. Fine. Number 2, toxic situation. You got a terrible person at the helm. Things are weird. There's some fishy things going on and you want to get
Auburn last year.
Yep. Go, leave. I get it, right? Fine. Number 3, you actually have a chance of making it in the NFL and you want to go somewhere that it helps your chances and that you are going to be mentored better. You're going to get more exposure. Sure. Go, leave. Most of these men are not going to make it in the NFL. They're not. It's just a statistic. They're not. You made it to college and that's a huge accomplishment and you should be proud. Stay and try to get your degree though, because you're not going to the NFL. And if you don't fall within the 2 latter categories, what are you doing? What's the point? I don't get it.
I think it's a classic example of the grass being greener on the other side. You have a kid who's probably stuck 2nd or 3rd string on the depth chart, looking at other places, getting, conversations with coaches saying, yeah, come on over. We'll give you a little bit more extra playing time. And I think it's the situation where they look at it and go, you know what? It has to be better somewhere else. And then it may not get picked up or it may not be better. It just kind of depends on the kid and the situation. But I mean, I can't begrudge somebody trying to make it better for themselves, even if it is for kind of a ridiculous reason.
Yeah, even if it is like a long shot, like you said, it's a chance, and most of these players are leaving because they feel, like they're not going to get that chance where they're at.
I feel like this is an opportunity where Coach Drinky should step into the podcast and be like, if you don't bet on yourself, you'll never win.
There you go. Come to MIZ.
God help.
Yeah. I mean, to put it into perspective, last year, a little more than 3,000 FBS players entered the portal, which was open year round. So far, after just 1 day of the portal being open, there were nearly 1,000 FBS players listed.
Yeah. And it's probably going to get crazier now that the NIL stuff's flying around.
Yeah, there's some big names that entered on day 1. And for Florida, if you're Florida, Coach Napier, just put your headset in really quick. I would be looking at the quarterbacks that entered. Because
can they sign one before the bowl game?
Yeah, your starter's gonna not play in a bowl game and he's gonna try to go to the NFL, and then your backup's in prison. So
Yeah.
I would just take a little sneak peek on in there.
Yeah. So since we're there, Anthony Richardson has gone ahead and declared for NFL draft.
Bad choice.
Wise or not? Not him.
No. Absolutely not.
Here's my one thought about that. Is does he think? Because I think we all agree that he needs more development, right?
Yes.
Is the question then that he does not think he's going to get that at Florida? So he is really hoping for some quality development in the NFL in the event that somebody drafts him.
They don't have time to develop you in the NFL.
Yeah.
They're trying to win ball games. The last thing they want to do is try to take some 21-year-old that that left Florida and try to figure out a way to make him into a better quarterback. Like, they want somebody that can plug and play. They don't want somebody.
Tom Brady's story is a once in a lifetime thing. That does not happen for everybody.
Yeah,
You're not going to get drafted 199 and then have 6 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Well, I was about to say, you could be Brock Purdy this weekend and you can get the starting job at San Francisco and be Mr. Relevant, but
There you
you're
go.
not going to win the Super Bowl.
But nobody drafts. You're not going to the NFL draft because you're like, you know what? In 3 years, I think this could really be something.
Yeah.
No, your owners don't care.
Listen, I don't see a lot of teams taking a chance on him. I mean, yeah, the kid's an athlete, but a good quarterback, a great quarterback,
unless he's willing to
trade. I just don't get it.
Unless he's willing to, unlike Tebow, say that, yeah, I'll do something besides quarterback.
No,
yeah,
that's an idea.
I don't know. I just, to me, that kind of speaks of how Florida's program is going. If he doesn't want to come back, to me, that tells me that he doesn't believe he's going to get the development that he needs there either.
He could transfer though. I mean,
that's the thing that doesn't make sense, because the kid's an athlete. He did look good in flashes here and there. Like, he could get picked up by somebody.
For sure.
Like, he could probably go to Colorado and get the starting job out there. But I mean, I don't understand.
Yeah, and with in a NIL, you don't have to wait to make money. So I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
I don't either.
But going from one scenario to another, KJ Jefferson announces he'll return for his final year with Arkansas. So I was glad to see that. I mean, dude can play. Arkansas obviously needs him, I believe. We saw games without him this year and they didn't look spectacular. So, if I'm an Arkansas fan, I'm excited right now. What are you guys' thoughts?
I think, and he hasn't said this, I don't know him personally, this is speculation, but I think it's similar to a lot of players, especially at the quarterback position, when they come back, when they are eligible to go to the draft, is you feel like you have more to do with your teammates there. You didn't accomplish everything you wanted to accomplish, and you want to stay and do that for your alma mater. I mean, I know the transfer portal kind of shakes this up a little bit, but at the end of the day, when you're a college player, you are almost, like, this is your family. These guys are here. We've built this together. When it's in the NFL, there's, so many trades, and your career takes you on a different path, and you have potentially a really long career. You only have 4 years, maybe 5 in a program. And I think just it's special, and you want to make sure that you accomplish what you and the guys in that locker room set out to accomplish. And when you didn't, you're going to stay.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Matt? Are you happy to see KJ return?
Listen, that's a heck of an athlete that Arkansas is going to hold on to. And that was a question we were wondering, like, if KJ does leave, who's going to fill the gap at quarterback for the Razorbacks? And I think we don't have to worry about that for another year now. We had real high hopes on Arkansas at the beginning of the season. We saw those hopes didn't pan out. But keeping KJ in place helps out Sam Pittman quite a bit, I think. He's a playmaker. The kid can extend plays, which is what you need to be successful at quarterback in the SEC. So, this is a great keep for Arkansas. Now, the question is, what are they going to be able to do with him next year that they couldn't do with him this year?
Right.
Hopefully he stays healthy.
1,000 guys in the transfer portal they can put him.
That's probably, well, there's at least 200.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean.
Yep. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move into let's just make this an opinion segment.
Sir, if I may venture an opinion.
I'm not really interested in your opinion, 3PO.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
All right, so let's talk about the Heisman. Matt, let's talk about the Heisman. Heisman Trophy finalists have been announced, and they are as follows: Stetson Bennett, quarterback, Georgia Bulldogs; Max Duggan, quarterback for the TCU Horned Frogs; CJ Stroud, quarterback for Ohio State Buckeyes; and Caleb Williams, quarterback for the USC Trojans. All quarterbacks.
I don't think I've ever seen that. I can't remember.
I don't know that I have
can't remember
either.
a year where it's been all QBs.
Yeah,
it's usually had a running back. It should have had a running back this year. Usually there's a running back or a wide receiver sprinkled in there, but all 4 QBs.
Yeah. So what are you guys' thoughts on the candidates? Who do you think's gonna win? What you got?
Go for it, Matt. Take a breath.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm gonna try to remain calm.
Yeah.
But first off, this is the biggest pile of
I agree. Let it out.
Oh,
okay.
So-
now that I've censored myself.
For those of you who are just listening, Matt just went on a little. He just had a moment there.
I did. I had
yeah.
a moment.
Yeah.
Let's pull this apart. Okay. Let's go through all 4 of these because from my perspective, and again, this is a flawed. I don't want to say ignorant, but not as well versed as some. Like this is from just a perspective of someone who really, really likes Tennessee football. So yeah, it's a little skewed, but give me a second. All right. Caleb Williams, quarterback, USC Trojans. I'm okay with that pick. That's probably the favorite for win this thing. And to be honest, looking at the other 3 candidates, that's probably who deserves it the most. CJ Stroud, don't feel like he should be there. It should be the running back from Michigan. But if you want to include CJ, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. Max Duggan, sure. Kid showed a lot of moxie. He put up some good numbers over the course of the season. I don't have an issue with it at all. Stetson Bennett doesn't deserve to be there at all, ad nauseum, full stop. That's it. He doesn't. He's not even the best friggin' guy on his team. And you're going to tell me that friggin' Hendon Hooker, given all the crap he did through the season, shouldn't be at least invited to New York? That is garbage. The Heisman is garbage. That's the reason why it's called the friggin' Heisman. It's stupid. They need to get rid of it. And the Brooklyn or Queens Athletic Commission or whoever those people are and whoever voted for this thing, they all need to be run out on a rail. There, I'm done. Oh.
That was so fun.
Jesse, your thoughts?
That's the incredibly censored version of what I'm thinking. Just so we're clear on that.
Oh, I know.
Listen. Oh, hold on. Before we go to Jesse, I do want to point this out. I don't have any issues personally with Stetson Bennett. I think his story is great. I think he's a hell of a football player. I think he's probably a really good quarterback. But we talked about it last week. He is a great game manager. He put up some good points because he's surrounded by 5-star talent. The kid's a walk-on. I don't think he's going to have a very long, if any, NFL career. Again, I don't understand. He didn't even make the All-SEC team. Not first string nor second string. You're going to sit here and tell me that the guy that won SEC Offensive Player of the Year, the guy that's All-SEC quarterback number 1, the guy that put up all sorts of friggin' numbers to one of the best wide receivers on the planet this year, and he's not getting an invite to New York, that's bullcrap. Okay, now I'm done. Go ahead, Jesse.
And
Bryce Young should be there, by God.
I would agree. The Heisman has become stupid.
Mm-hmm.
The Heisman has become what it is not, right? It's like Matt said, the Heisman, why it is named as such, the point of it, or so they say, is it should be the guy on the team who the team doesn't function the same without. That is who it should be. Okay.
Yep.
I'm just saying, as I said a few minutes ago, and yeah, I'm a Bammer, whatever. Our team, as we saw, doesn't function without Bryce Young. He has a Heisman. I'll let it go. And everyone's going to say, well, he didn't put up the same numbers that he did last year when he won the Heisman. Still, I would argue that this year, even more so, because he didn't have all of those wide receivers that we had last year. But I digress. Bryce isn't there. I'm honestly not that upset about it. what upsets me is that it's all quarterbacks. How boring could we get? My goodness, that's boring. I get it that it's hard for them somehow to throw in a defensive player, even though they absolutely should. But
they did 97. They did 97. They did 97.
Sorry.
Breathe, Matt.
There's got to be a wide receiver, a running back, hell, a tight end that we could have put there, but we couldn't come up with anybody? That's silly. Okay. And again, I know, and this is not the I Hate Stetson Bennett podcast or segment. It's not. I don't have a problem with him.
No.
I don't care. I don't think about him very much, to be honest. He reminds me a lot of AJ McCarron. I've said it before. He really does. AJ McCarron was great for us. We won national championships. I'm not upset about it. Fine. But I agree with Matt in that he is surrounded by 5-star athletes that are incredible. Anybody that can just kind of make a short little pass to Brock Bowers, I can do that. I can't. I really can't. I can't see over the
Jesse said what I was thinking, but didn't want to say because I didn't want to trigger every Georgia fan I know.
I can't do it. So before you guys comment, I'm too short. It's fine. I'm too little. But I feel like maybe a backup could.
That's because
TCU?
Stetson should be a backup.
TCU, like, okay, I like his moxie. He's gritty. That's fine. I don't know. CJ Stroud. Caleb Williams is going to win it. It's fine. I'm not going to watch the Heisman. I'll tell you that right now. I'm bored. I'll get the tweet or the ESPN update. It'll tell me who won. I'll go to bed because it doesn't matter.
Listen, there are two names. There are two names that aren't on that short list. It's Blake Corum from Michigan. It's Hendon Hooker from Tennessee. Those two guys were pivotal. I don't understand how in the absolute blue hell Blake Corum didn't get an invite. That cat put up all sorts of numbers with the number 2 team in the nation, and he didn't get an invite. Something's not right. I don't know. And, you know, there's a lot of back and forth, and I know that a lot of Tennessee fans in particular are real quick to call out bias when it comes to the Heisman. But you have to admit, there's some shady stuff going on there.
Audit the Heisman.
There's got to be some sort of agenda somewhere. I don't know if they're trying to get like markets to watch, to like tune into this thing or something, but the Heisman's not what it should be.
Maybe they're trying to cast for Heisman House commermans.
Good God.
Maybe.
Because we need more of those.
All right, Wesco. I know we've been like...
Me and Jesse are sitting here crapping all over Stetson Bennett. Wes is just having to bite his tongue.
No, I was indifferent to the Heisman before, and I'm not going to change that now just because Stetson's in it. I didn't love it, nor did I hate it before. It was just sort of, you know, one of those awards where I watch it and okay, cool. But I have to say, I actually love everything that you guys have been saying about Stetson, because that type of stuff is exactly what has fueled him into becoming what he is any kind of doubt, any kind of, why is he here? Who is this guy? He should be a backup. All of that is perfect for what has molded his career at Georgia. So no, I don't necessarily have a problem with all that stuff either. Now I don't agree with he's just a plug and play. I can tell you unequivocally that last year we don't win with JT Daniels, and everybody was like, why is JT Daniels not playing? Why is this? I can tell you 100% why. It's because Stetson is a mobile quarterback and JT was not. It was the fact that Stetson could do both.
He's kind of mobile. He's good at like moving between schools.
He's mobile in a different sense. 100% on that.
Sorry,
one.
I had to do it.
Yes, different mobility there. But yeah, and we don't win the national championship game with someone else. Stetson had that weird fumble, which I argue wasn't even really a fumble, but after that play, he just took over and led us right down the field through that tough pass and catch to AD Mitchell. and that put us back in the lead and just never really looked back from there. To me, that was a huge moment for him. And granted, that was last year. Now, this year, I know that he's got the yards, which Stetson Bennett has led the SEC in yards almost all season, with the exception of Will Rogers. Will Rogers has been at the top, which you expect in that kind of offense. I know he doesn't have the touchdowns other quarterbacks have. He's got 20, and the other ones have quite a few more. But I think if you want to base this on performances in big games, only one of these quarterbacks won their conference championship. Now, I know that some of them didn't play in their conference championship, CJ Stroud being that one. We also watched Max Duggan put his body on the line in theirs, but in the end, they still lost. Meanwhile, Bennett had an excellent performance in their game. I'm not saying he deserves it, and I don't think that he will, because it's a popularity contest, and most of the other guys on here are much more flashy. Media's been
I don't
talking.
even know what contest it is, to be honest.
Yeah, good luck trying to
I
figure out
don't
what the
know.
Heisman is anymore, because I don't have a friggin' clue.
Yeah, but I think he's got he at least has an argument. I know some dog fans are superstitious about it being bad luck for the playoffs, but there have been plenty in recent memory who've won both the Heisman and the national championship, including SEC players Mark Ingram in 2009, Cam Newton in 2010, Derrick Henry in 2015, and of course Joe Burrow in 2019. Now,
Bryce Young, Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
Bryce Young and Devontae. We didn't win it with Devontae, but yeah.
Well, I was saying who've won both in the same year.
Yeah, this one. Oh, we didn't win it last year. Oh God.
Right. Yeah. So
going through withdrawals, Jesse. It's been 2 years since we won it.
2 years.
I don't know what to do.
I'm living in another age.
The life of a Bama fan when we didn't win a championship last year. Wait, it's just it's an every year thing, right? Anyway. All right. Now, to those who say you switch Stetson Bennett with Hendon Hooker, that Georgia's offense would be fine while Tennessee's would suffer, I think you're simply insulting the volunteer receivers. Okay. The wealth of talent in that receiving core is immense. You want to talk about, well, Stetson's just been dumping it off to these 5-stars. Well, Tennessee's receivers are amazing. You don't believe me? Watch any game this year, except for South Carolina. Anyway, so if you think that the offense wouldn't change, I don't. If anything, I don't think the offense would change that much. To be honest with you, many games this year, Georgia game plan has been to run the ball, control the line of scrimmage. In the Tech game, Bennett only threw the ball 19 times. So I mean, that just wasn't in the game plan. Meanwhile, Tennessee's MO is to throw it all over the field like crazy. I get it. If I was a Tennessee fan, I would want Hendon Hooker to be there. I get it. But some of these defenses are just kind of silly and even kind of demeaning to their own team. That's just my opinion.
Another position.
Yeah.
I don't care what position it is. Yeah. I don't care what quarterback you take out of this. Not at all. Put something else.
Right.
Anything.
Now, that said, I don't think Stetson wins. I think the favorite is Caleb Williams, and I think he'll probably get it.
And that'll be what USC's like 9th Heisman.
Yeah.
Tell me it's not political.
Yeah.
I did
a deep dive investigative podcast. I want a millennial woman to go and do a podcast on the Heisman and figure out what is amok.
Have like mysterious music playing in the background, like on today's episode of Heisman.
Like
Heisman.
Exactly.
I'm not saying I'm going to do the podcast. I'm just saying some millennial woman should.
Right.
If you find a way to turn it into a murder mystery, I guarantee it's in the top 5.
It's probably there's probably one there.
A murder in the Heisman
somewhere.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot of people that want to commit murder right now.
Just saying. Wait, did the Juice? Did he have a Heisman?
OJ? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, then there is murder.
He finished second in 74, and then I think he won at 75.
I'll tell you, that's
73.
That's one I wouldn't want in the Heisman house. That's just all I'm saying right there. That could be bad.
No.
Nah, he's fine now. He got it all out of his system.
Did he? Did he?
Because he committed some more crimes. Not murder.
I was gonna say, that's been pretty recent
he
too.
Just got out of prison.
I was way off. OJ Simpson won it in 1968. I thought he won that thing in the 70s.
Well, close enough. 68. That wasn't that far.
Whatever. He's still on the Heisman Trophy website.
Yeah.
That's
He
that's
is, and he's
interesting.
technically still in the Pro Football
Wait,
Hall of Fame.
they didn't.
Very hard to count.
They didn't have him give it back.
I mean, he might have given it back, but he's
It's
still
very
in.
hard to, at least I know from working with the Pro Football Hall of Fame, they have said that they won't take him out, but when it comes to Hall of Fame events, they can't tell him not to come,
Mm.
but it's known he should not come,
Interesting.
and
I-
he
Right.
doesn't.
A fun little thing here, kids. If you go to the Heisman website, which screw the Heisman, it's a useless hunk of metal. For every one of their Heisman winners, they have a breakdown of the voting. So, like, I'm looking at O.J. Simpson's voting. He got 855 first place votes. The next guy got 49. So he was
There you go.
obviously a runaway with that one.
I
And then
really want to get a Heisman vote.
they break it down by
Runaway.
region. They look at the statistics. So that's interesting. They got pictures of them. This is a cool website. It's a real shame they're associated with a garbage organization.
The commercial.
It's
By the way-
Discovery Time with Matt.
By the way, I am tweeting at the Heisman people every friggin' day.
I know
until they
you-
block me. I'm blowing that crap up. I don't care what they say.
You filled my feed every day.
I
like,
retweeted
what is this?
so many salty Tennessee fans on Sunday.
Yeah.
So many, myself
Yeah.
included.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. Do we have any more to say about the Heisman?
Yeah, it's a piece of crap.
Not that anything that we haven't said or is
Yeah.
relevant.
And I'm going to continue to say it. It hasn't mattered since 1952.
I hear you. All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about some feedback from you, Matt. Takeaways from championship weekend. What are your takeaways as a whole on championship weekend?
You know what? I thought we were going to do this part at the end, but we did it before. So really, there's a couple of big takeaways I got. One, Michigan's rolling. I'm curious as to how that's going to translate against TCU. Is TCU broken? Are they a wounded animal? Are they going to come out and fight? And then I'm curious as to what we're going to end up seeing out of this Ohio State Georgia game. That's going to be a very interesting matchup, especially with the way those two line up. I think Georgia's going to nuke them, but we'll see how that goes. The other thing here, and this is something that this is a personal little thing that I am so looking forward to, is the expanded playoff. I can't wait for an expanded playoff because Tulane goes 11-2, and they can't go play with the big kids in the deep end of the pool, and that's garbage. I want to see Tulane against like Bama and Tulane against like USC. I want to see those matchups. Let's get them up.
Right, because up to this point, all you've had is a bunch of people in a room saying, "Oh, well, they don't deserve to play with them." Well, why? Now you can actually
let's trot them out there and see what happens.
Exactly, I love it.
And my last big takeaway is I'm trying to figure out why in the world Nick Saban is going on TV hat in hand to try and make a case in politic for his team to get into the playoff. It's not a good look, Jesse. It's not a good look at all.
He didn't consult with me.
I know he should have, because you'd have told him that was a bad idea, right?
I would have.
It looked bad. It looked.
Don't be mad,
really
Bama
bad.
Nation. Don't be mad. I think you guys all know I'm crimson through and through to like actually a character fault. It causes problems with me. But we were not a CFP team this year. I don't know what happened. Actually I do. We don't have the same receiving core. We didn't have the discipline. We have horrible coordinators. We are not a CFP team this year. And that's okay. That's okay. We're okay. Bill O'Brien turns out only has a 2-year contract and it's not up for extension. Bye, Bill. I hope you have a lovely holiday season. If you need a good realtor, I know some, but they're not in Tuscaloosa, and I'm very thankful for that. So no, I agree. I wouldn't have politicked for Bama. Now, of course, when anybody comes at me and is like, Bama doesn't deserve to be in the top 5, I'm going to argue because I love to argue. But it's okay. We're okay, Bama Nation. To me, TCU, again, you have to put them in, and I get it. But like I said, Michigan's going to roll over them. I think, and I could be wrong, and I may eat my words, I think Michigan wins it all this year. I really do.
God, I hope so.
I think Michigan wins it all. And I am also very interested in this Ohio State UGA game because Georgia can't start slow. You don't want to try and play catch up. But also, I want to see if Ohio State has any chops because they didn't against Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to seeing those. And actually, since we're kind of there, let's just go ahead and we're not going to get into the bowl games right now, but we'll just do a quick little, list off what they are, and then we'll actually do a deep dive in the next episode. So the first bowl game will for the SEC will be Florida versus Oregon State, number 14 Oregon State, and that's the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl from Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada, and that's December the 17th. Wake Forest versus Missouri is the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. I've always loved that name.
Hold on. What the hell is a Gasparilla? I need an explanation when
Isn't
we
it
finally
like a
get around to
pirate
it.
thing?
I think we've looked at that before because it is truly a hilarious name.
We'll come back to it. We'll come back to it.
That is Friday, December the 23rd. And then next is Kansas versus Arkansas, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl from Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium in Memphis, Tennessee. That's Wednesday, December 28th. Texas Tech versus Ole Miss, the Tax Act Texas Bowl from NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas, December the 28th. And then number 21 Notre Dame versus number 19 South Carolina, the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville, Florida. That's Friday, December the 30th. Then here you go, Matt. Number 6 Tennessee versus number 7 Clemson, the Capital One Orange Bowl from Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida, Friday, December the 30th. Number 5 Alabama versus number 9 Kansas State, the All-State Sugar Bowl from Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. And as far as I know, Caesar did not stay there, but that is Saturday, December the 31st. So yeah, Sugar Bowl. Yeah. Iowa versus Kentucky TransPerfect Music City Bowl from Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee, Saturday, December the 31st. And then number 4 Ohio State versus number 1 Georgia, CFP semifinal at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Saturday, December the 31st at 8:00.
Why are we playing games on New Year's? Why are we doing that?
So why does Georgia keep getting to play in Atlanta? That's like a home game.
That's a great question, Jesse. That's funny, isn't it?
So I think 1 versus 4 was pretty much slated to be here.
Yeah, it is. But
and
I know Chick-fil-A is based out of there. Like, I get it, but like, guys.
Maybe it's like a trade-off. If you don't get any home night games during the year, you get home field advantage in the playoffs. Anyway, number 22.
Oh, hold on now. Ohio State's going to travel for that game. There's going to be every Buckeye in the county that comes out.
For sure.
They'll be there. They'll be there.
Major airport. They'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot of dog fans who have already made plans to be there. So
good luck affording the tickets. You're gonna have to take a second.
I know that's the thing is like I don't feel like taking out another mortgage just to go to a playoff game
or a Taylor Swift concert for that.
Or
have
that.
you seen how much those dang prices are?
Yeah. Now that is a new level of crazy. I mean, like
Ticketmaster is the devil.
Yeah. That's the title of the episode. Number 22 Mississippi State versus Illinois, the ReliaQuest Bowl from Raymond James Stadium. They get 2 bowls in Tampa, Monday, January the 2nd, 2023, guys. 2023 is right around the corner. Number 17 LSU versus Purdue. That's the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl from Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. I didn't see a Duke's Mayo Bowl. Did you guys? I didn't.
Wait a minute. Did we not get an SEC team in the Duke's Mayo Bowl this year?
We didn't get one.
Hold on a second.
Also, Cheez-Its aren't citrusy. That's gross.
Yeah, I think the Citrus Bowl has been around for ages, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I did look up the history of Gasparilla, and so there is a Gasparilla festival in Tampa every year, which is like it's almost like a Pirates version in Tampa's version of Mardi Gras. It's like everyone dresses as a pirate. It's insane. But where that even comes from is the Ye Mystic crew of Gasparilla, which is the legendary crew from legendary pirate Jose Gaspar, the last of the Buccaneers, who terrorized the coastal waters of West Florida during the late 18th and 19th century. Former aristocrat and Spanish Navy officer, and he looked like a gentleman, but was a pirate. So that's where he was a swashbuckling Gaspar. And now they have like a fun little.
So it's like a real life our flag means death thing.
That show's funny.
Yeah,
That show's hilarious.
How fun.
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, NC State's in the ACC, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What about Maryland? What conference are they in?
They are in the Big Ten.
Are they in the Big Ten now? Okay. Because it's Maryland versus NC State in the Duke's Mayo Bowl this year.
There you go. Well,
Maryland used to be in the big. Didn't they used to be in the ACC?
They changed.
Yeah.
Maryland and Rutgers changed to the Big
That's
Ten
right.
2015.
Because they used to be in the Big East way back in the day.
2015-ish.
Okay. Well,
so one of those lucky coaches will be able to dump mayo on their heads at the end. So
it is very good if you're trying to get gum out of your hair, and it
True.
can also be seen as a nice mask for your hair. Cardi B.
There you go. Yeah, that's so many good things. So
what's our big bowl game to watch? I'm intrigued by that Notre Dame South Carolina game.
Ooh.
That Gator Bowl's interesting.
Yeah. So obviously, I'm going to say Ohio State, Georgia, but ruling that aside, I don't know.
State, Illinois. That's going to be good because the Illini this year stepped it up, and I feel like their defense versus the Mississippi State offense is interesting.
That's going to be
also interested to see if Will Rogers plays.
Yeah. I'm really.
I haven't seen him on any draft boards. Is he?
Nope.
No.
But also, what a sweet little angel human who has raised over $70,000 in NIL for, was it Make-A-Wish?
Make-A-Wish, yeah.
That's precious.
Yeah, it's really cool. And he helps old ladies. Remember that too. So
old ladies, he gives his game towel to Lane Kiffin's son. I just think Will Rogers is like our gumdrop of a person.
Yes.
Him and Tebow need to get together and do something probably.
There you go.
Help the orphans.
And now I am really curious to see what granted I know Milton's going to be starting, but what Clemson's defense does with that Tennessee offense.
I've been listening to some people talk about that game, and there is a concern that a lot of the Clemson players are going to sit for this thing. Because a lot of that defense is pretty touted, and there's a chance
their quarterback entered the transfer portal, right?
Yeah, they've got that second string guy who is
he actually lost. I was gonna say he lost his starting job, I believe.
So I don't think that's gonna be the problem, but I am curious as to what their defense is gonna look like.
Yeah.
Florida.
Oh
I
goodness.
do not think the Las Vegas SRS Distribution Bowl is going to go well for you.
Not against Oregon State.
Yeah.
Kudos to Oregon State for being in the top 15, though.
Yeah.
They usually are awful.
Yeah, they did have a good run there. Yeah, so there's a lot of exciting ones to talk about. I think we're going to go ahead and cut it short here, unless you guys have like a just for fun or something like that to throw out. Been fun. Yeah, no, it's all in good fun. Anyway, so I do appreciate you guys listening to us. Please, if you'd like to hit us up on email, do so at pigskinsandpageantry@gmail.com. We are at Pigskins and Pageantry on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. We are at PPSCC Podcast on Twitter. Don't forget, we're available for download on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, most podcasting apps for iPhone, Android, and other operating systems, Amazon Radio, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and review 5 stars. We would love that. We will do a bowl game preview shortly. Until then, this is Wes. Go Dogs.
If you have not heard from a friend or family member, please do check on them. They may have entered the transfer portal.
Everybody else has.
Why not? Real tight, y'all.
Guys, come in for it. Little talk. Remember, The Heisman is garbage. Just throwing that back out there. Go Vols. Beat Clem suck.